Hey, welcome, guys. Episode 3, Serenity Now, Bourbon Later, the Seinfeld and Bourbon podcast. The Van Bourbon Boys are coming to you today, Josh and John. Today, we're going to be looking at the Serenity Now, which is what our podcast is actually named after, and we'll get to that line later. We're also bringing you some Booker's Bourbon from Jim Beam. They put out 4 batches a year. This is actually 2023-04. I think I looked at it a second ago, John, and I think it's pretty high proof. Looks like 127.8. So these are pretty
Right.
spicy guys. I know we've gotten in this bottle before. I haven't been back to it since. So I'm kind of interested to see it opened up. Did you just take a sip there? What are you
N
thinking?
No, I just getting the aroma, but you're right. I mean, I haven't had it myself for probably 2 years, so
Yeah, got a pretty good nose on it.
yeah, but it doesn't seem spicy.
Well, maybe some of the spiciness wore off. I know last time we tried it, we were definitely the spiciness was definitely hitting us pretty
Okay.
heavy. So, I mean, anything up in the 60s, you're gonna start getting to that point. So, this is the only batch of Bookers I've honestly ever had. I haven't really explored it too much. I'm not a Jim Beam guy in general. Knob Creek products, I kind of get after, and my man John here has all the way up to 21 year now that he has in his possession. So,
Yeah, and, on that, I like I like knob a little bit more than I would, say, some of the others, so I think we're opposite in that ends.
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't. That's the only Jim Beam line that I really get after. Everything else, I'm not too big on. But we're gonna go back to the Bookers today and see what we think. So, but of course, we're also going to be discussing the Serenity Now. And this episode, I think, really highlights like Jerry Stiller's greatness.
I
Like
agree.
as Frank, he is just. He's probably one of, and I hate to call him a side character because he's in so many episodes. I didn't look up to see how many episodes, but I'm assuming it's in the 20s. Wouldn't you think?
I would agree, yeah.
I think his parents aren't around for in the beginning. He talks about them, but they're not around. But by probably, I'm sure by season 2, there are appearances of Frank and Stell.
Mhm.
And, I think we see her first, don't we? Like, in the hospital bed, isn't that the first appearance of Estelle?
I don't
"My
know, actually,
back,
never
my
thought about that.
back!"
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's probably pretty early. I honestly think we see her first, and I might have to pull up that episode for a coming week to talk about. But yeah, this episode, he's just fantastic. And I see it, and I don't know Jerry Stiller's career outside of this and King of Queens a lot. I know he did other things,
Mhm.
but just listening to his voice sometimes, he's amazing. And the cast always talked about how awesome he was to work with and how professional he was. And I don't know if you've seen it. There's actually a video where he goes and visits the front of the house. I think it was in Queens. They got the picture of the front of the house. And so it's a video. Somebody takes him back. It wasn't too long ago. It was this past year. Takes him back to the house. And I guess the homeowners come out and he talks to him how gracious he was and all
Wow.
these things. Yeah. So I like him a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He truly, like you said, he capitalizes very much so without trying to take over, but it's just that you're drawn to him, his acting. And then
Right.
even that too, hearing I think even on his, or on the edits or the cuts, these scenes, he never really breaks character. He doesn't start laughing or anything like that. He's just something else. He's a different form of acting.
So towards the beginning, you meet, I think her name's Patty. She's so unmemorable because she's in one episode like most of Jerry's girlfriends. I think
Hmm.
her name's Patty. Patty sounds right to me, so we're gonna call her Patty. Um, but it's Lori Loughlin from Full House, and I think it's funny because she'd been on Full House for 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know how long that show ran. My Some of my family members could definitely tell you because they watch it still all the time. And, so, guest episode on Seinfeld even after that run. So I don't think she was ever very respected, and of course, now she's a convicted felon, served some federal time. So, I don't think she really got much due in the acting community at all. Because I mean, this was all she got from, you think after 8 years on a sitcom, she would get something bigger than one episode arc on Seinfeld, but
Yeah.
so they're sitting there and they talk about the Chinese Spanish restaurant they're going to go to, La Caridad, which Jerry's going to give up Nick's tickets to go to and as Kramer likes to call him, a minor celebrity. Okay, people know who the guy is. He's not. he's not as big on the show, I think, as he probably is in real life now, but he does comedy shows and stuff, so he probably got those tickets given to him, or he has decent tickets. It's not like he's just going to some nosebleed seat, and, he's willing to just kinda go, "Okay, that's fine." And, I think we've talked about before, she sort of ruins their relationship
Yeah.
by,
Yeah.
by starting him on this emotional journey, making him wanna be angry. She sort of kills it. Like, I think they're doing fine. He's gonna go to La Caridad's Chinese Spanish restaurant, which, you don't see that combo ever. I mean, nobody's really wanting to eat chow mein egg rolls. On the Carnival cruise ships, there's actually a restaurant called Chabang where they try to combine and it does not work at
No,
all.
there's then
Um,
Universal, there's a weird fusion kind of restaurant too, and that doesn't mash up well either. So that's definitely weird. But I agree with you. There's some sort of not intentional sabotaging, but it makes no sense as to why she intentionally drives him on this emotional journey. First by saying, I want to see you get mad. I don't know why you want in a relationship just to make your counterpart
right.
angry.
He's being agreeable with you. He's like, "I'll go to your Chinese Spanish restaurant and not go to the Nick game where I
Yeah.
have assumably good tickets for."
Yeah.
Um, so, and also in later times, when Larry had his show Curb Your Enthusiasm, I guess she appears on it, and I don't know, I haven't watched that show that much, but I know when people appear on the show, they are their real life counterparts. It's supposed to be like real life, and so I guess he helps her get in some country club or something like that, and somebody references them working together on Seinfeld, and he says, "I didn't work with her on Seinfeld. I was already gone." Because this is season 9, so Larry was already out of the picture. But they referenced
Right.
Seinfeld with her appearance on Kirby Enthusiasm, and it was also just like a one of she just popped up for a minute, like Lori Laughlin evidently appears to do,
Okay.
except for Full House. That's her one. Aunt Becky, she had her time, and that was it.
Yeah.
Um, and then we get Lloyd Braun, who's one of my favorite side characters. This is only 3 appearances. Of course, in his first appearance, he was, helping out the mayor. He was the mayor's campaign manager, I guess you could say, and played by a completely different guy. I didn't look into why we switched actors. We can probably comment on that when we get back to that episode eventually.
Yeah.
But appearance 2 and 3, same guy. And he's named after Larry's manager and lawyer. That was Lloyd Braun was Larry's manager, so that's who he named the character after. Not sure the connection there either, but that's who he named him after.
Hmm.
So what do you think of the Bookers?
It's, taking your initial account too, because, don't ask me to remember anything. So I don't remember the first, I don't remember the first drink of it, but that was 2 years ago. And again, that was the first time having had Booker's, this being the second and of the same bottle. It's surprisingly really smooth and on the nose and drinkable. The palate is amazing. So, yeah, consider me a fan so far.
Okay. Yep. Continuing to like your Jim Beam stuff as you do. Like I said, I do like Knob Creek. Knob Creek 12. I think the 15 and the 18 are a little too almost leathery for me. The
Okay.
Knob 12 is fantastic. Um, One time I took a tour and I think I was by myself at Jim Beam. I don't know why I went by myself, but I think I was by myself. And they rolled the barrel of Knob Creek over and got some straight out the barrel and let us taste it, and it was amazing. So since then, I've kind of been a Knob Creek,
Yeah.
guy.
Well, and that's where me and my Knob Creek, I'm not I'm an age snob, I guess, because I had Knob 9, what is it, the Select Barrel or whatnot at a restaurant last
Sure.
night, and
Oh yeah.
it was not good. It was,
Oh, okay.
you know me, I drink neat. Last night I had it on
Yeah.
ice and it was still terrible. So when it's got to be 15-year or more, and that sounds like a snob.
No, I mean it's okay. It's okay to think that. I think with those Nom Nines, there's so many select barrels. I don't know if you
Mhm.
remember when we were in Massachusetts, we would go up to the New Hampshire because Massachusetts is state controlled. No, no, not state controlled. So
That's
we'd
New
go up to
Hampshire.
the New Hampshire store that was
Yeah,
close, and New Hampshire is state controlled.
yeah.
And they had, I mean, it must have been 1,000 Knob 9 select bottles on their wall that they had purchased. So
Hmm.
I think they really, really roll out those select barrels. And that's one reason Jim Beam shut down production this year. I think they were overproducing. There's way too much out there,
Yeah,
and we need to sit around for a year and buy our little Knob 9 select so they can go back and actually make new stuff. So
yeah. I'm gonna pass on that.
I've had a couple that I enjoyed, but yeah, I know you bought one just because it said Eddie Merlot's on it, which was a
Mhm.
restaurant, and I know you bought one of those. Have you ever cracked that one?
No, remember we did up in Massachusetts, and that was when the cork broke off in the bottle. It'd been sitting there for so long it had dried up,
Oh.
and that one would we couldn't even get the cork out.
Oh my gosh, I forgot all about
Yeah.
that. That's right, we did crack it.
And then what was it, $80 for that? Something
It was
like
a
that?
lot. It
So,
was a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot, but that was one of those stores that we won't share with you our term for what we call those stores, but, it's those stores that wanna put things up on the wall and want you to come in and look at them without,
Yeah.
yeah, without knowing that they're probably not gonna sell them. So, yeah, that was one of those places, so the prices were a little high. Um, so but yeah, I agree with you. Really good finish on it. A little bit of ethanol, but not near as much as last time.
Yeah.
And we've talked about the neck pour before, and that's a big thing that
Yep.
you
So
give it
this
time to sit there and open up, and it's not so hot as you would
Yeah, so this
say.
goes back to
So
proving if you can impress us with a knob with a, neck pour, you win. That's very
exactly.
much a testament to your bourbon.
And I mean, I would have to say that this one did not impress with neck pour because I remember last time we didn't enjoy it. But are you getting a bit of the roasted peanut off the end there?
Well, now I got guilty knowledge, and I'm gonna be looking for some roasted peanut here.
Well, I shouldn't have told you, but yeah, tip of your tongue. See if you're getting some. That's a big Jim Beam thing and a big Booker's thing is getting like the peanut. It's not like peanut butter. It's more like roasted peanut, and you may not get it at all. You may get it. Great thing about bourbon is on another day, and here in probably next week's episode, we're going to talk about. I believe we're going to talk about a stag, a batch that I have that's really amazing, and that one every time I touch it, it's different. It just gets better and different and more complex, and I really like it. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm enjoying the Bookers. I think it leaves a little bit to be desired, and depending on different batches, always you're going to get different things. This being 2023-04. Someone at one time told me this one was super limited. I don't know that that's a thing, but I was told that. So,
Well, for a while, we've been finding a lot of Bookers, but then there's those bashes that you're looking for too,
right,
specifically.
right, exactly. So getting back to this episode, I mean, we don't have, I don't think this is one of your more complex episodes.
Yeah.
It was more just some good character stuff, but not necessarily a lot going on.
Mhm.
Um, I think we had talked about before how Frank always likes to motivate George, knows how to kind of say the things that he needs to say to get him to do what he wants to do. So,
Yeah.
George is like, I'm not going to sell computers. He's like, I knew you could never compete with Lloyd Braun. And
Yeah, and
instantly,
yeah. I never thought about though as an intentional self-motivation or if him trying to
mhm,
be manipulative because yeah, George showed no drive to wanting to do that. He's
right,
lazy. He wants to get out of work at all costs, but
right. And back in the hallway where Kramer has now set up his whole country house because he got the and I know you want to comment on the fact the picture that they take in front of the screen door back in Queens
yeah,
where Kramer says to move in and Jerry Stiller kind of moves in and gives him a little smile. It's just that the moments Seinfeld is so great for those little tiny moments
yep.
of comedy
I think
where
that's what draws me in. Yeah.
you might not catch it on the first time, the second time, but the fifth time or the
Mhm.
17th time. And I may have mentioned before, I estimate that I'm probably on somewhere around 50 times of going through since the 90s, because as a teenager, I was watching these, when they came on, which is probably not the best thing. But and since then, I mean, I have the DVDs and now Netflix. If it wasn't on Netflix, I wouldn't watch it near as much because I would physically have to grab a DVD.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I don't know. Some of you kids might not even hardly know what DVDs are anymore. But my PlayStation will still play them. But yeah. So
Yeah, that's the point I wanted to make too, because when I mean he's enthralled. He wants to go out to the country.
right,
Talking about let's go out to Queens. Want to go out to country. Like that to New Yorkers is country. That the
right,
lifestyle, that's
right,
country to them. And then they get out there, and out of randomness, he's got a camera and he's taking a picture of the Costanzas working on this screen door, and they pose for it, and it's those little things that almost make no sense, or whether they did it intentionally for some other form of comedy, but it
right,
was hilarious because he doesn't bring the camera up again, he doesn't bring up the pictures or whatever, and
right.
that's very comedic.
So of course they bring the screen door back, and Kramer sets up his whole little countryside there in the their hallway of the apartment. And so there's one scene where Kramer hits the wind chimes, talking about small little things that I might not have noticed before. Patty, if that's her name, and Jerry. Jerry doesn't care about their names. Why should we? Right?
No,
Why should we? Yeah, he doesn't know who they are,
that reminds me of
and
the female body part. I don't know your name.
I don't know her name. He doesn't care. So Patty and Jerry are standing there talking to Kramer, and he's kind of doing his little weird little thing, and he kind of hits the wind chimes because he likes it as he goes in the
Mhm.
apartment. They kind of look at him like he's going off the deep end, like we see where he's headed.
Yeah, and that's like going back into where Kramer lives in a different world, a different realm mentally. He's living in this fantasy world, if you will, caveat to
Right.
a different episode. But it's just funny because I mean he convinces George that or George Frank, he convinces Frank this screen door is, it's out of his life and out of his term. And yet then he takes it and puts it back in his own an apartment of all things.
Right. Yeah, Kramer's Life is a fantasy camp. That's
Yes, it
what you
is.
were referring to. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So then, of course, the kids are coming to attack him with a silly string. Of course, we never see the kids or anything, and why
No.
why kids are playing in the hallway, but it's just the whole mechanic of him being out in the country, right?
Yeah.
And so he has. I think you've mentioned he had the hose under Jerry's sink for some reason, not in his own apartment. He has it.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Over
he's like,
no.
"Hey, get the hose from underneath that I put underneath your sink." Like, you do put it under your own sink. What are you doing?
And do you have a hookup under your sink for a hose?
I
No, I
no.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but somehow he gets it, and he has a nozzle on the end of the hose. So, and I remember this, from years ago, but he asked George to turn on the water, and of course
Mhm.
Jerry's over there saying, "I love you, George. I love you, George. I love you, George." George is catatonic. He can't do anything. It's got a nozzle on the end, so he could have very well just turned on the gosh darn water and then walked out there, but he's waiting
Yeah.
on George to turn on the water and hoochie mama, hoochie
Hoochie
mama.
mama.
Hoochie Mama. And I mean, it's pretty comedic this whole episode. Everybody's trying to get away from Jerry because Jerry gets turned the emotional thing that he gets turned on. And of course, Patty ruins their relationship by turning him into this guy.
Yeah.
And George has to turn him back, but he proposes to Elaine, and one of the best comedic moments of the show is she says, "I got a thing going on with Littman right now," and Jerry says, "Littman," and she says, "Littman, yeah, yeah, him too." And so I honestly think that was probably a mistake by Julie Louis Dreyfus to say Littman, and Jerry just took it. I don't
Yeah.
know if it was in the script or not, but it seems off the cuff to me. Like he just goes
Eh,
Littman, and they just kept going with it.
and it's funny too because it's almost like they even if it was put in the script too, that it got her so off surprise that or no, it caught her off guard so much that she's just like going with it. Yeah, well, him too, or maybe he's in another realm now, and he's mentioning Lippman. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they just took it and just kept going with it.
Yeah.
So, as they're prone to do. Um, so of course we get back to the garage and the computers, and he's talking to Lloyd about the Serenity now George is, and one of the best lines, probably definitely in this episode, but one of the best lines of the show to me, and that's why our podcast is named after it. Is Lloyd says Serenity now, insanity later, as in you can't bottle in
Hmm.
everything, you got to let it out. And yeah, that's why we're Serenity now. Bourbon later is from that line.
Yeah, and the Lloyd Braun thing because he keeps coming up. I never really keep seeing I never thought about that, the different actors that played the role. This version does that little eye thing, and he definitely alludes to having been insane when George brings it up. I heard that
Right.
you had a family in your freezer, and he's like, insanity now, or serenity now, insanity later. But he never
Right.
denies whether
Nope.
or whether or not there was a family in his freezer. So there's
Nope.
something left to be had there.
Yeah, because supposedly it was in a mental institution.
Yeah.
So yeah, family in the freezer. And one great thing toward the end of this episode is where you sort of get the flip, right? The whole episode, Jerry is now being emotional, and that he
Hmm.
never is, and George is always the emotional one. So we get the flip where George is gonna, talk to Jerry. And I wish I could hear that conversation of his innermost. What does he say? His innermost demons or whatever he says. I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly how he references
Yeah.
it. And so you just get the end of it. And of course, Jerry's now like, "Whew, you scared me straight." And back in film school, Jason Alexander was all dramatic. He was going to be on Broadway, and he has been on Broadway, and his dramatic stuff's great. But this, of course, is what he's more known for. I mean, if you had to name any other Jason Alexander thing right now, it gets to be difficult. This is his best role, his biggest role. And so I guess he had a professor, maybe sophomore year of film school, that told him, hey, look at yourself. You're short, you're balding already, you're a little overweight. you're gonna be a comic actor. Like this is what
Yeah.
you're gonna do. And he credits his role in Seinfeld because he said I never would have done this. He said I never would have taken on a multi-year sitcom because I didn't think that was me. I didn't think that's who I was supposed to be. But he said
Right.
because of that conversation, this is where his career more turned into comedy. And so I think you get glimpses of dramatic Jason Alexander during this episode, like Jerry, I thought you'd have more compassion, you know. And
Hmm.
so I enjoy those glimpses into him. But of course, I mean, he fits so well as George that nobody else in history could have ever played
No, I
George.
agree. And then like the episode, the apartment, when he's actually he's convincing the board tenant of his lifestyle and how why he's more worthy of getting the apartment because if his life is absolutely devastating,
Right,
just it's the same thing. That's what to me it always throws back to that episode.
right. So, and I think it's really appropriate that we have this is the storyteller batch, is what it's called, and as me and you were doing now, we're just sitting around telling stories. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've enjoyed the Bookers. I just can't. I want to throw it in up in the upper echelon. I see a lot of guys will have 20 different Bookers batches, and I just
Okay.
can't get there. I think a lot of the spiciness is off. But you want to rate out the Bookers first since we're talking about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, on that, I mean, I'm more impressed that I mean, again, it's transitioned so much better than when we first had it.
Very,
Because
very
I think I had a bad disdain, in my opinion, of it from that first neck pour that we had, and to have it had changed so much for the better.
right,
But at the same time, as much as I quote, I'll just say if I'm a snob or whatever, because I like higher age proof, I like more, higher ABV. Um, I mean, barrel proofs, etc. I know what I like, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I could pick out a peanut note or butter about popcorn or what have you.
right.
I could tell you if I like it or not, but yeah, I'm definitely impressed with it having from its first, try. So I'm ready to rate it, but you go ahead. This is yours.
Okay. Yeah, we're 7 years too much, 29 days on the aging. By the way, it literally tells you exactly where the barrels came from, 4 different locations that they
Okay.
combined. But it's technically a 7 year bourbon. I don't know if it would really benefit on more aging. I don't get a lot of oak here. I don't really need it. It's
Hmm.
got a decent finish, a nice caramelly finish. It's a good proof. I would hate to say, and probably a lot of people would kill me for it. I think it would be fine in an old fashioned. This is $100 SRP bottle,
Okay.
so for me to, I'm not throwing in an old fashioned.
Yeah.
But if somebody gave me an old fashioned with this, I think I'd like it. I think it's got enough oomph to it and enough flavor that'll poke through without overpowering. Because I tell a lot of people, you want a lot of proof in your old fashioned because you're going to proof it down. You're adding sugar, you're adding ice, which adds water, you're adding bitters, so you're balancing the bourbon, but you're going to proof it down. So
Hmm.
you don't want to make an old fashioned with 80 proof bourbon because then unless you just hate bourbon and want to put sugar on top of it, you're not going to
Yeah.
taste it. Um, so I honestly think this would be good for an old fashioned, and if I eventually get to the point of this bottle where I'm done with it, then that might be where it goes. As much as that might be a crime against humanity, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go pretty low. I just don't. I'm never gonna pick this bottle up and grab it over. If you see, we're home in the Florida studio today, so I got a lot of things behind me and a lot of things down here too, and so I'm never gonna grab this. I usually keep it up here, up top, just because it's in a lovely little tater box, as we like to call these things. But I'm gonna go 5.5. I'm gonna go
Okay.
slightly better than average. I think it's got a good finish on it. The nose is not spectacular to me. I don't find things in this that I'm really gonna run to. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna say 5.5. What about yourself?
Okay, so I mean it's smooth. It's definitely good. It has a little heat, not significant. I mean I always compare it to what you're paying for it, and I compare it to what I would consider your daily drink for what you're going to pay for a daily drink, right? So 40,
Right,
$50 a bottle, what you consider it to be okay daily price. And
right,
if it being $100 a bottle, uh, you know, there's nothing substantial where it transitions through a different palette or flavor throughout the drink itself, which we've had from
right.
another one. I'm gonna have to go 6.3.
6.3.
Yeah.
5.1 and 6.3 is going to get us to 5.7. 5.7. So definitely third place out of 3 episodes that we've done so far. I like that you like it a little bit higher because you're more of a Jim Beam boy than I am, just in general. I still get the little bit of peanut on the end. I don't. Some people say, "Oh, the peanut funk on the Beam
Okay.
stuff," and I don't get, or especially the Bookers. and I'm not really getting that peanut funk that
Well,
people.
yeah, and I never got the popcorn with E.H. Taylor, and I've tried
No,
with
I get that like crazy, but I don't.
oh,
I get a
okay.
little bit of the peanut funk off of this, but not the. And maybe 2 or 3 in, that might really hit me, but, one pour in, and I mean, as you can see, 5-5, I'm still sitting here, in a 20-minute, episode. I'm only halfway down. I like it, but it's not there's nothing I'm going, "Oh, give me that glass. I wanna get back into
Mhm.
that." There's nothing there, so, yeah, so, you said yeah, 6-1. 6-1, I think is what we said between the 2.
Which yeah.
So yeah, definitely,
Alright,
well,
now let's hit
yeah.
the episode. What do you think on the actual episode? Rate that.
Um, I thought this was one more of my favorites, as I was, thinking about doing it. I think it's a Jerry Stiller favorite. I think honestly, it's Frank. There are a few things in it that I like. I like the Serenity now, Insanity later. I want to say Bourbon later. There are things that I do like, but it definitely not one of my favorites. But I'm going to give it a little higher than I might give some episodes like this, just because I think this is Frank's height. There's so many episodes where he's really good, but this is his height, and
Okay.
so I have to kind of give it up for that. So I'm going to go 7-2. I don't think the storyline is great, but I think 7-2 is worthy of his performance, worthy of the Jason Alexander dramatic acting.
Mhm.
I think it warrants a higher score for me for that.
Okay. I mean, I personally think this episode I love it for the Kramer. The Kramer diving
Yeah.
into his reality, if you will, his own
Right.
reality.
Right.
Um, that to me is the substantial part of the episode. And
Right.
then, the emotional stuff with Jerry and all that. To me, I just wasn't too much into it. I found it very weird or awkward. I know it dives
Right.
into the fact that Jerry, throughout the entire series, does lack a lot of emotional attachment to everyone and everything.
Right.
So I can see where there's a need to do the episode, but I think Kramer just diving into this fantasy world, the little sparkler in the hallway, you name it.
Right.
That to me makes this episode, but it's still not a fan because I feel like there's a lot of kind of diluted storyline to it. So with the other three lines, but I'm gonna have to go probably 5-9.
Wow. Okay. I don't blame you there. It kind of depends on what you focus on, right?
Yeah,
Storyline not being great. So between 5-9 and 6-2, we're 6-5-5, I believe, if my math is correct.
yeah.
Um, if I mess up the ratings on these guys during the episode, just understand that I'm doing it on the fly because we don't talk about these ratings before. So my little 44-year-old math brain is trying to grab them real quick. But
We can
six
mark it
five
down there
five.
somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Mark it down there somewhere. Let me know that I'm
Yeah.
an I'm an I'm an idiot like
No,
George. And
not that. We'll put the numbers down.
as I believe it's in this episode, or it might be the next one we're discussing, where Julia calls George an idiot. It's either this one. I think it might be the next one. But it's because you're an idiot.
Yeah,
I believe it might be next week's episode when we discuss. But yeah, sometimes we can't remember what we're saying, but
yeah,
and the bourbon sometimes does that to us too. But
yeah.
6-5-5, which will put us one point behind the Bubble Boy. I know Bubble Boy was 7-4. I'm sorry, Bubble Boy is much higher, so we're not even close to the Bubble Boy. Is still our first episode, first of our episodes. Still our penultimate episode so far of Seinfeld,
Yeah,
and I think that's fair. The storyline of Bubble Boy is so much better, and you commented on, we don't get a whole lot of story here. We just get some nice moments from characters. And I believe
yeah.
season 9 really, that's a lot of what we see. Is I think they're moving towards the end of the series, and we're more getting character. They're giving people a chance to just run with their characters and not necessarily worrying about the storyline so much,
Yeah,
knowing it's the
I can
end.
totally see that. And at the same time too, I mean, these are episodes that we had just picked. It wasn't,
Right.
they're not by any means our favorites. And I think what makes the whole entire series is phenomenal is there are
Right.
favorite moments within episodes, and they're all great in their own right. But it's not the top tier yet. With yet, the best is yet to come. So we'll
Right.
dive into all that as with the bourbon. We'll probably do each of our favorite. We'll dive into it. There's so many different avenues in which we can dive into this. So
Definitely. But I think the Van Bourbon boys will run on off here and let you guys get back to your day. But thanks so much for tuning in. This if you're watching on YouTube, great. Run over to Spotify, Apple, Amazon, like, follow. Even if you're not going to listen on those platforms, if you can go over there and click those buttons, I know you get really annoyed when people say, "Hey, click the buttons," but it
Mhm.
helps.
Mhm.
And for me and John here to be able to continue to do this, we want to see some interest. So, as many buttons as you can click, likes, comments, all those things, it helps us out a lot. If you're on those podcast platforms, we're on YouTube. I post reels on Instagram. We have a Facebook page, every single place as this is the Serenity Now Bourbon Later is the name. If you typed any search engine, you're going to find us all over the place.
You're
So
gonna
we
find us.
appreciate you. Yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you real soon. Have a great
Awesome.
one.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.